Hey everyone, good morning. So, Alice is with us.
Yay, thanks
Yay.
for having me.
And, our little place is just a touch hard to find sometimes. And Alice was spinning around the parking lots looking for us, which happens. I was telepathically speaking to her, and then we used conventional means, like she called me. Anyway, so we're here, we're ready to rock and tell you something or share something with you, like maybe some stories. And Alice was dancing on the weekend. Tell us who you're with on the weekend.
Yeah, I was at one of my favorite events of the year called Constellations, put on by my beloved friends Kylie Dawn and Corinne Cornish of Evolved Productions. And it was just the most, incredible, epic night of dance floor, bass, hugs, cuddles, and just...
Jay's sound.
Pardon?
Jay...
Jay does the sound, and it's just if you ever get to be a part of their events, I'd highly recommend going. It was just everything that my physical body, emotional body, etheric body, heart wisdom needed to fully and completely let go on the dance floor.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, because
I wish you were there.
I would have loved to have been there, and it didn't come together. And what happens is I forget to organize things, and then it's like the day, and I'm like, oh.
That happens.
Oh, there's a thing going on. I need to go. And I bet if I went, I would have been fine. But I'm glad you had a nice time.
Yeah, it's perfect. My feet are a little sore, which is always a good sign of a good dance night, I think.
Yes, yeah. Dance has changed so much. I think I don't. Depends on who's watching. Some of you will understand this. For us to go and dance for 5 or 6 hours is, and to do it, without getting high, it's a great. It's life these days, isn't it? I mean, not that everybody there was doing it that way, but it for me, I can go and dance for 3 or 4 hours at least, and just can really get kind of caught up in I can have a spiritual experience on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ecstatic dance. And I know that in Ubud, when we go to Sunday morning dance or Friday night dance, and
there's a Saturday morning 6 a.m. dance in Ubud now.
No way.
At Zest, yeah, also epic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is it? At the same? No, not at the Yoga Barn.
No, it's at Zest, which is also an amazing restaurant in Ubud in Bali, where I also spend a lot of time, and David spends a lot of time throughout the year. And it's a early morning sunrise set from about 6 to 9 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, and a really, really great vegan restaurant. And the whole crew goes and gathers there, and wakes up together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Things are moving in Ubud.
Yeah, big time.
Right on. So you've done... taken some groups there, and tell us what you share when you're...
Yeah, for sure. So Bali is one of my away from Calgary homes. I've got a few, and there's just something, I don't know, maybe you feel it as well there, David, I'm not sure, but for me and many people that go to Bali, there's just this deep resonance of the heart space that seems to crack open, and that's what I feel every single time I go. I've been there, I don't know how many times, but in the last 5 years, I've spent many, many months there each year, and every single time my heart opens in an expansive way more than I could have imagined before. So because of that, I take groups there each year. This year I have 2 retreats coming up, one in March and one in April. The one in April is with a dear friend, Amy Thiessen. I don't know if you know Amy.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Yeah, she's an amazing, amazing musician and teacher and life coach. And I can't wait to collaborate with her. But the reason I bring groups there is because there's just this call to live more from the space of the heart. I find that's awakening in humanity, and to learn how to live less from the mind and less from conditioning of what we think we should do and how we should feel and how we should show up, and really let go of all of those layers of shoulds to access the heart of what is really alive within each of us personally, and then within each of us as a humanity. So Yeah, that's the groups that I take, and we do practices of embodiment every day through yoga, through dance, through somatic awareness, and then we also visit the amazing sites that Bali offers, the temples and the healers, and to be with her land and her people.
Yeah, I went. My first trip was in '94, and I went with my teacher, whose name was Paul Lowe. And Paul had spent many, many years, like 14 or 15 years with Osho, and he had been Osho's like #1 guy for a long time. And so Paul was so clear, and is still. And I haven't seen him in a few years, but and the whole thing was what you said: letting go of our beliefs, letting go of our conditioning, being in the moment, and learning about what that meant, to be here now, and so all of our ideas of the shoulds and shouldn'ts, and so that was my first adventure into that, and it was in '94, and it ruined me.
Yeah, you can't go back after that, can you?
No, I was like, oh,
ruined
okay.
You in the best way.
Yes, of course, so, and it's been really it for me. There's been some struggle as the years have gone on to let go of my idea that I think that I know, and to just surrender. And Ubud's an amazing place to surrender. There is an energy there, and the energy, I think, we didn't discover it. It's been there since before Westerners came to Ubud, and sometimes people will come and they can't stay. They're like, I don't know what's going on here, but
yeah,
this is not for me, and because there can be a little fear around surrender, and around letting go of both the need to know and the idea that we do know, and so it's great that you're doing that work, and,
yeah.
And it sounds like it's bathed in yoga and Tantra and all of the teachings, but in essence, it's about surrender, right?
It is, yeah, and it's interesting. Surrender is a big part of my personal inquiry right now around what that means to. Well, I don't even know if it's what it means to surrender, but how to do it, or how to not do it.
I know it is. It's a tricky one. Paul used to say you can't find it by looking for it, and you won't find it if you don't look for it. And that space and it seems like this mystical place to be when it's actually just being here, and being in a total yes.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, and it's such a interesting space because for me and a lot of people, operating in most cultures and especially in the West, is that there's this planning ahead quite often. Which is necessary sometimes. I mean, we had to plan ahead to be here, so there's some element of planning that is helpful. Or if you had planned, maybe you could have gone to dance, but maybe it was the perfect thing not to. Who knows?
It was, yep.
But in essence, with my life, because I travel so much, a lot of my energy is focused around the logistics of travel. And so I have, in some ways, my next year mapped out as to where I'm going to be location in the world. And so that kind of, in some ways, it's this great element of freedom that arises of being able to travel, and yet this structure around where you need to be. And what I'm really working with right now is how can I be really present in the moment of what's alive, and surrender to the mystery of that.
And still do the business, still have the, right? I mean, I'm there too. I mean, I have this, and this vision with creating meditation spaces in millions of homes, and I have to just let go in each moment, just like, okay, this is, it's actually not my show, but to also look after the practical, I have to pay the rent.
Yeah, right. Of course, there's always both.
Yeah.
And when you were asking about, what are we doing in these spaces that I co-create in Bali is, I think, everything that I share is always based on some internal curiosity that's alive in me. That's all I feel like I ever really have to share. And right now it's this curiosity of how do we surrender to the mystery of the moment. And sometimes in the moment there is no knowing of what that is, and to not act from a place of habit or pattern or fear or contraction inside, like, oh wow, it's so uncomfortable to not know, so I better plan this because the discomfort of not knowing is so big. And really for me, working to soften inside and create space inside for the unknowing, so that until there is an aliveness, like a true impulse that doesn't come from fear, arises, to not act, actually.
So like total acceptance?
Yeah, like acceptance and pausing somehow, and waiting to allow the mystery of life to reveal itself or herself, instead of coming from what I already know. Especially when what I already know isn't really working.
I know.
It's just familiar.
I know. I mean, this is what I believe this is about, what we're doing, and for us here with all of this stuff is to let people know that we see them, and that even though the facade or the persona for most of us is that everything's okay, there's a lot of folks that are at this time waking up to, well, it's not okay. I'm not happy with the status quo. I'm not happy with going to work for 30 years and or raising my kids or doing whatever the model has been. And we can change the model, or we can do what you're talking about doing, is live in each moment with joy and trust
and curiosity.
Yes, faith that that there is a power in the universe. There is an order. There is and that we're part of it. And often when there's struggle, it's because I'm in resistance. I'm in, but.
Yeah, that resistance is a powerful force, isn't it? Both internally and externally to, most of the time I feel like when I can look back in the past anyways, not always right when I'm in the thick of the forest of a challenging situation, but most of the energy spent was actually on the resistance of what is, instead of just the allowance. And then meeting that moment, meeting that challenge in the way that it is. It's usually actually not as hard as the struggle to push against.
Yeah, we relax and expand and say yes.
Yeah.
So, guess we're done.
Yeah, saying yes to what is, and to say yes to all of it is another thing that I'm learning these days. Is I was speaking with my beloved, my partner, about what it's like what love is. And I mean, this is maybe a whole Facebook Live for another time, but now. Okay. But what is this quality of love that we call in relationships? And is this love coming from a place of concepts as to what romantic love is? And is that love really emanating from that person that you're connecting with? Or is it awakening something inside yourself that is bringing this aliveness that we then associate with this vibration of love? And so when we're in love, is it really ever about the other person? Or is it just that we're tuning into this vibrational quality of love that is beyond attachment, that is beyond another human person per se, but just really basking in the vastness of you can call it love, presence, truth, God, spirit, the universe, whatever, but this higher quality of isness and wholeness. So, and then how do we make space is the question for all of this to be felt and explored and expressed within partnership, when we have a partner that also has very human wants and needs and desires, and as do I and myself. So there's just this deep inquiry right now around what is love.
It's funny. I'm resisting trying to speak to that because really, what do I know about that? It's the idea of what comes is Hawkins. I'm a big David Hawkins fan, and he talks about vibrating it, unconditional love, and the joy that comes when we're there in that, and that unconditional love isn't actually connected to anybody in particular. It's just it's having that feeling, that living at that level in each moment is of unconditional love. It's a thing. It's so it isn't connected with one person. I think that I love the first year in relating, because it's so juicy, right? And it's like this chemical. There's the chemical thing that happens, gets released in my body, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm 18. And and it's exciting, and it's wow, they're so cool, and everything's amazing about them, and then I don't know what happens to that chemical, but then there's the reality of just I think there's another level of loving if we're mature, and mature enough to accept that person as who they are in each moment, and that they have their life to live, and it's not conditional on what we want, but I think that there is a mature level of loving that can happen in a long-term relating, and I haven't actually found it, but
well, it's just interesting because in theory it's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
To be able to love somebody, and if you define it within a partnership, to love another human being unconditionally, I find it's a beautiful idea, and that's what I really wish to live my life from. And then there's just these very human bumps that come in when the person that you want to unconditionally love wants to express that love in a different way with another person or in a different experience,
Yes.
where then that very maybe more conditional love within ourselves contracts because of feeling unsafe or feeling like what we love might disappear.
So what if?
And then we get kind of trapped in that in that very human
Contraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is, this idea of wanting to protect ourselves or not feel. We don't want to feel.
Well, we don't want to feel pain, but
I'm like, oh, don't do that because it hurts,
Yeah.
And for me to own that hurt is not about them, it's about me being, not accepting the moment, not, it's about me wanting things to be different, and I've gone through that, with the really deep into jealousy, and really deep into and my teacher that I spoke about earlier really encouraged us to to feel, just recognize that that's the road to freedom, to just go into it and feel it, and so we did a bunch of that, and it was like, oh my gosh, but there was freedom, on the other side of that.
Were you able to burn through a lot of that?
Tons, crazy stuff, and watching myself be this crazy guy, in fear and jealousy and anger. Jealousy is like this ugly mess of all kinds of emotions, yes, yeah, and just to sit with it and breathe and feel it and allow it, not to do something else like drink or use or sleep with somebody else or eat. All of the things, the distractions that we have, work, Now, I don't know about this, but what do you think about the possibility that if two people have a common purpose, like towards a higher ideal or higher value that they want to share to the world, that we can come together in that, like a vehicle of all right, we imagine that there's two people that want to share what we're talking about, because it's kind of, I imagine it as one of the highest possible values that we could have on the planet, unconditional love and presence. And then we put aside our needs in a way, or we just feel them, but we have a higher purpose to burn through them.
I feel like you're speaking about my life in the last, well, acutely 2.5 weeks, and in the big picture, years.
Yeah. Well, you are that person. I mean, everybody sees that in you, that you have a love for consciousness. You have a love for, it's clear, that you have that. So it may not be easy to find somebody to be with who shares that and wants to work with you, beside you,
right.
and in that gift.
Yeah, I mean, what you're asking right now, David, is really it's so alive for me in my present moment. So this is a great opportunity to reflect with you and online and to share a little bit about this. So I've been with my beloved life partner for the last 2.5 years, and we've been traveling around the world a lot and exploring this idea around what it really means to love in a way that also calls in truth and freedom. And so love, truth, and freedom are the 3 values of my personal life that I am continually exploring and asking questions about, and whether I'm in alignment of living my life to those values, and then also within our relating. And when I use these 3 words of love, truth, and freedom, they exist on many planes and many levels, of course.
They're subjective too. I mean, it depends with each word where you're at in the moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then there's these different levels. So like love, there's this kind of curiosity around this romantic love and what is that, but then there's also the resonance of love itself, and then the truth. So what is the truth in this moment? For example, what is that knot in your stomach that you're afraid to say? So there's that truth, and then there's the quintessential truth, the capital T, that exists out there. And then same with freedom. What does it mean to live from a place of freedom in this moment, but then that greater freedom that exists in the expansion of our spirit. And so this is where my brain lives most of the time, is these inquiries around this, and then this life experiment around what that is. But one of the questions that we have, and one of the principles that we have in our relating is, how do we live in truth and love and freedom as individual beings? And how do we become or remember the innate fullness of our unique selves, and then be able to come together in partnership from a place of fullness rather than from a place of half empty and needing and wanting and grasping for the other person to fill our container. And we actually, just minutes before I pulled into the parking lot here, I was online with him, just connecting over the phone, and we were asking these very questions, and going back to about a year ago, when we sat with another beloved friend of ours who guided us in a couples retreat for a few days for just the 2 of us, and asking these questions about what's the purpose of your relationship, and why are you coming together, and what are you wanting, desiring, intending to co-create together within your relationship.
It's interesting that this would come up here.
Yeah. So we're sitting in these really big questions right now about, well, what is it that we want to co-create together within our relating, and how do we come at this with a place of how do we, what we're noticing is that we have developed, this is natural, have developed many ways that we have hooks in each other, or that we are codependent on each other to meet some internal need. And really wanting to let go of those so that we can really support each other to be our freest, biggest selves that we possibly can be. Knowing that sometimes in our humanness, what feels free for the other person might feel like a big contraction for us, and being willing to meet each other there. and be expanded enough and spacious enough for all of those feelings and all of those unknowns to be allowed. Because that's where we notice that, for me anyways, my system shuts down, is when I feel like there's not space for me to feel it all, that I have to choose this or that, or I can only feel anger but I can't feel joy, or all of those things. And to make enough spaciousness and vastness within ourselves and within our relating to be able to have it all, actually. Because the heart is so vast that it doesn't just feel one thing, it feels everything. And that everything can be feeling at the same time. And that's where it gets confusing.
So what's coming in traditional relating, the higher purpose was family. We're going to get together and have 2.2 or 3 kids, right? And it was a traditional higher purpose, and we went through life looking after that and growing it and helping them to get educated and get married and then we had grandkids, and then it was a really family based idea, and I think that the possibility is to expand the idea of family to include all of our tribe, who you dance with on the weekend, and the expanded tribe that we know, and then then a bigger tribe, the whole tribe, but I think if we don't have that purpose, we will get caught up in the minutia of, no, I'm not coming to breakfast. I need this time this morning to sit, and which is the nuts and bolts of relating, but if we have if we have a higher, what are we here for? What, what's this gift? I mean, I believe that we've been given an amazing gift. I think I have, and I'm sure you have as well. You feel it, and that of a more expanded perception, and I mean, I prayed for that for years to show me the whole thing, and so now with that gift, I think our possibility is to really share that in a bigger form, and so it's not that our relating needs aren't important, but I think as we vibrate higher with the an expanded purpose, they become less important. We're not, we're less likely to drop into what we're not getting, and we're totally prepared to let go of each other, in each moment, and still love, I know that sounds good on paper. But
no, actually, that just hit something, a resonance inside myself. Thank you for sharing that. Like, how can maybe, I mean, this is just like new and percolating right now from your reflections, but maybe it's about, can we love in a way where we're not afraid to lose the other person?
Yeah, and I think that's us maturing, that we're becoming the gods and the goddesses that we are, and, we're connected to the all, and so there's never anything missing.
Yeah, I'm remembering this quote by Osho, because you brought him up earlier as well, and about
My
how
buddy?
Your buddy Osho. I think it's an Osho quote, maybe it's not, but it's about how can you love another so that person feels free. And so that's something else that I'm curious about. And then, of course, how do I love? That all gets flipped back on, turned in on itself as well. Like, how do I love in a way that I feel free? And how do I, how do I nurture that feeling, that vibration inside myself, so that it doesn't even matter what the other person is or is not doing, but that I can just abide in that quality within myself.
Because at one level, this is more just me talking, not from experience, but I understand at one level they're not even really there. Do you know?
Yeah. No one's really there.
and I don't have so much personal experience with that, but I found but for the first time in my life, the last 3 years, I've been pretty much single, and it's been, in the beginning, it was with intention. It was like, okay, let's just be with David for a while. Let's feel what's happening here. And other than I dated a little bit once in that 3 years, but other than that, it's been, wow, such a discovery of my connection and my mission in a sense with this, with helping people create spaces and really following the calling. I feel that I have to make a bigger have a bigger voice with many people, and it's sometimes it scares the heck out of me. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding? Who do you think you are? And just also on a one-on-one being the work that I get to do. It's beautiful. I don't know. I think now, how could I ever? I can't imagine being with somebody, because it seems to take a lot of time. And I may be free. It might be like, and I check in with, I call him the boss, and it's fun that our minds seem to need to have reasonably tangible concepts to connect. I mean, the thing that we're talking about is a thing generally we can't talk about. That moment, that bliss, that living in the totally expanded space. As soon as we speak about it, we're not there. And so my concept is, my employer. I just talk about my connection with the universes, and so I acknowledge that if when I tune in and say, okay, what's up today? Show me, who you'd like me to serve, or how can I be of service to, this higher concept, this higher purpose. Then it comes through, in each moment, and the days go flying by, and but I spent years doing what you're doing, thinking that I was doing something wrong in relating, or but mostly. I'm sorry, I've monopolized.
No, please.
Mostly, I found that I was selfish. I was that I was never really 100% there in a giving way, in a relating. I was selfish. I wanted something. Or I didn't want something. I didn't want to be alone. Or I didn't. I wanted to be acknowledged. Or I wanted to be supported. Or I wanted to be, and so I was trying to get something. And so I'd love to be in a relating where I didn't need anything.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's where I'm really wanting to, get to and explore that as well.
Yeah, and so that's, so I leave that. That's I think one of the highest possibilities in that form, and to not need but it's I've turned it over. It's like, okay, if whatever my maker, however I see my higher power, my God of my understanding, or whatever the universe wants for me, I'm open to that. And so there's really not any struggle these days around wanting to be with somebody or not, which is pretty freeing.
Yeah. It sounds liberating.
It is. And then we'll see what unfolds, but I salute you for your courage, and lots of couples and will be watching to see how this unfolds for you, and so I think we chase the illusion a long way, and then I imagine that many of us are we're brought up in a society where we really get to believe that there's a victim in a situation. And
right.
And I don't believe that, and I think that everything's for us, never against us, and I don't always live that way, but I and so there is no victim in any of it, and there's just this is all for us, all part of not necessarily a plan, but certainly a gift.
Right. Yeah. Instead of feeling like things are happening to me,
Yes,
it's like things are happening for me.
And grace, which is a description that goes back into many old teachings, is another word for gift, and that it's all gift, even that I can take that breath.
Ouch. Yeah, it's all.
It's all gift.
It is, yeah, an opportunity to really meet in the intimacy of each moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's great what you're doing, and that, you get to sit with people and help them come out of their, their ideas of what life is, and open them and help them to expand, and some of them will, totally break out and have amazing journeys as a result of their time with you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how I really help people per se. I don't really see it so much in that way, although I know that my work with people impacts people. But really in all of my offerings and everything is really just to step into life and share some time and share some space together, to be able to breathe together and breathe in and breathe out what is alive. And if in the spaces that we share together that awakens something in somebody else, and that's a beautiful thing. But I really also do it for me, actually, coming back to this selfishness part, it's all also this deep learning and this deep awakening process for myself. And I love being in these kinds of inquiry spaces on my own, and then also being in community with other people is
I think that's
such
being wisely selfish.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so true that the more we give it away, the more it comes back. It's like, if you're helping people, they're like the wind under your wings. That help you, as they lift up, you lift up. And so it is wisely selfish. I think it's a beautiful thing to commit your life to helping others awake from the dream. The illusion, like you said, the conditioned belief systems, the idea that they got from, I always refer to the Brady Bunches before your time, but the TV shows that we had that told us kind of how to live, and we took that, or religion, with lots of its do's and don'ts, and we're so it's great that you're shaking them a little bit.
Well, I think what I really love and feel really grateful and privileged for in this time that we live in right now, and these cultures that we live in, for most or all of us who are listening to this right now, is that there is so much availability for us in our external world to be able to really have these questions, and to be able to live a life that's not going to be condoned by some other external source in a very real way. I mean, people have been killed for their ideas and belief systems around challenging the status quo, and right now we're awakening in this time where it feels like, again, within the context of our privilege, get to really ask these questions in a way where we're not going to be killed for them, and to have life be this great experiment right now where what was once written no longer needs to be the case, and to be able to really be a creator or a creatrix in your own life and know that there's no written rules. I mean, that to me is, I'm so grateful to be living in this time, and I feel like it's a kind of a shaky time to be living in, because maybe there aren't so many rules anymore, and yet this beautifully enlivening time to be awake, and to be able to remember that we can write our own stories, and that there is no one story. Yeah.
And yeah, the idea that there's somewhere to get to, or we have to be a certain way, is past, for many of us, and so I think it's great that you're sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell us a bit on the practical.
Sure.
When are your groups this year?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I have a number of things coming up. I am going to be in Calgary for now until mid-February.
Oh my God, the most beautiful time of the year.
The most beautiful time of the year. I know, I chose well. Actually, it's funny, I've been, some of you maybe know this, but I had a flight booked to Thailand actually on Tuesday morning last week. And the night before, I decided there was no way that I was going to get on that plane. I've just been traveling so much in the last 3 years that I really have this desire to be grounded in my hometown and be nourished in ways that just, no matter how amazing and epic the traveling is, that just doesn't seem to serve me in this moment. And also actually space, because I'm here and with a blank schedule for the next month, which is amazing for being in Calgary, because I usually kind of condense a lot of my work time here. But anyways, point being that in the new year, I have a few offerings coming up that are invitations to step into not necessarily safe spaces, but brave spaces. I feel like that's where the magic really happens, is in these spaces. Risky. Where, where we're invited to meet the essence of the moment, even if we feel some fear inside around what that may or may not look like. So I'm doing a lot more work in authentic relating and well, you can blanket statement, call it Tantra, but really for me it's just meeting in the mystery. So I have a women's series called Untamed, the Wild Feminine, which is coming up. It's my baby right now, and it's all about, meeting life with its full juiciness and full aliveness, letting go of all of the masks and the conditionings of who we think we should be, and showing up as our raw, naked selves. We do another, there's kind of a few topics in that one. One of them is reclaiming our pleasure body for ourselves. The second topic is about seeing the wisdom in our most powerful emotions. And then creating that connection of sisterhood, first within ourselves and then with each other. So that's Untamed. And then I also have a workshop which is for women only. It's a Yoni temple. So Yoni is a Sanskrit word for your sacred space, which is your vagina or your vulva. Deep, powerful energies residing in there. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous night. I ran one a few weeks ago for women to come and connect really deeply in a very intimate way that is so nourishing. Many women reported after the last one that they've never met themselves in this way before. So that's coming up.
Is there any peace in that for men?
You know, I keep on having a lot of requests from men, and so that seed is planted, it is well watered, and I would actually love to do that.
Well, I know you did something last in the summer where men get to come and just be for a small part of it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so for Untamed, there is a session where we work with the masculine, and so if you're a man in Calgary that might be available for something like this, we'll call in David for sure. It's a really amazing opportunity for the masculine and the feminine to come together in a space of vast relating, where we see each other in ourselves.
Yes, the love connection, and I actually didn't make it the last time, but I heard that it was amazing. Some of the men that went were like, wow, so cool. You and your partner at the time created an amazing space, and I suppose everybody that was there created that space. Yeah,
it was very much co-created.
So your Bali groups, are they for women only?
No,
as well?
The Bali groups are for men and women.
Okay.
So there's a retreat March 10th to 17th, and then there's another retreat with Amy on April 20th to 27th, and both of them are open for anybody who wants to come and experience the magic of Bali and the magic of your heart.
When's Spirit Fest?
Spirit Fest is the end of March.
Okay, so in between those two.
Yeah, in between. They kind of bookend on both sides. I actually won't be in Bali in between now. I'll be in Ibiza, Spain, doing another training for a retreat called Women Who See in the Dark, which is amazing. So anyways, more on that one later, because that one's just in the very seed stages.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have friends in Ibiza?
Yeah, in the north, in the north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I haven't gone. I have a lot of friends there over the years. People are from there, and I just haven't got there. I end up always in Indonesia because of the business that I do there. It's on my list to go and visit that. Well, that sounds like you've got some great stuff coming up.
Yeah, great stuff coming up, and then I still have a lot of my work with my roots, which is yoga. Which is in yoga, so yoga teacher trainings and mentorship programs and classes over the next, long term.
Do you have a website?
I do, yeah. It's my name, so it's alicehong.com, and then the Yoga Institute is Inspired Yoga Institute. So all of my things run through there.
Wow, and a Facebook page.
And a Facebook page, and Instagram, it's alicehong108.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's super all that you're doing, and I don't see you saying, I know. I hear you saying, I'm discovering. And it's, you know, there's you're giving people tools to work their way into more discovery and into more expansion, more you know, not knowing, but yeah, into more not knowing.
Yes. Yeah, I have no answers whatsoever. So if you're coming for that, I don't have them. But what I might have are some questions.
Yeah, let me teach you how to not know. That's where the freedom is.
Yeah. Maybe not the best business marketing, huh?
No.
Pay me a bunch of money for me to tell you that I don't know anything.
Well, but you do, and and that is the road to freedom.
Yeah.
It is the, you know, and that's what we want. We, you know, we don't want to just do it right. We want to do it spontaneously. We want to be, you know, completely here, I think. And if we're in our head judging each moment, then we're not there. We're in our head judging each moment.
Yeah.
And so freedom is what I think that you're selling.
Right. Yeah, and also the tools for that, because I
Yeah.
mean, there is, you know, these great philosophies about, you know, how to live with your greatest aliveness and freedom, and our very humanness needs some gemstones and some tools along the way to support that process and that unfolding, and
Hacks.
that's something.
I call them hacks.
Oh,
now.
hacks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good one too.
Because I'm so much in the IT world, marketing, and there's all these little hacks, and so there's these little things that we can do that kind of keep us from, you know, from falling into depression or falling into, you know, fear, and you know, like meditation
Yeah, absolutely.
is a bit of a hack on the way.
Huge, yeah, and I mean that's what you specialize in
Yeah.
here as well. And so yeah, there's these these tools that I've gathered along the way from people who have walked this path before me, who that have been deeply supportive
So
for me. So
I think that what happens with Alice is that because Alice's heart is so open, it allows the message to go deep for people. I think that that's what you bring, and is an open heart, and it goes through all the resistance, or helps people to drop their resistance because they feel safe in your company, and so that's, you know, and then you can share with them your wisdom and your experience, and I suspect it's wisdom you brought with you in this lifetime. You know, it's not just all recent learning. I think you've come with this, and maybe that's a little esoteric, but it's my feeling. And
thank you for that reflection. Yeah, I mean, I remember since I was a small kid, these questions have been very alive for me. I have this very real memory very alive memory of looking in the mirror in the bathroom when I was probably 5 years old, and just standing there for who knows how long, probably hours, just looking at myself and my reflection and wondering, like, who is seeing my reflection? You know, who is this behind these eyes, and how is my heart breathing? And I would just steep in that for long periods of time as a small little human. So
nice.
Yeah, this is part of my quest this lifetime, I feel, is to explore these big questions.
And you're doing it. It's exciting.
And it's so much fun to have other people around who are also doing the same thing.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll feel lots of
like
love
yourself to be able to sit here on a Monday morning and connect about this.
Is it
Thank
Monday?
you. It's Monday.
So I think we're going to wrap up pretty soon, and just want to share that we're also on YouTube. If you go to our Bali and Beyond YouTube page, we would love if you subscribe there, and this live Facebook we're going to put there as well, and there's tons of little tidbits that I think that came out. If you listen to this a few times, I think there's some real gems here for you. And Alice, I just love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Feeling is mutual.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for being so courageous. You know, and it's not always easy because we don't know what we're doing. The path is not always clear, and so, you know, and yeah, you have to have a certain amount of courage and faith and belief that not knowing is okay, and that we'll follow the path, and you're doing that. So you're a great example to women and men.
Thank
everywhere.
you.
Yeah, love you lots.
Thank you. Love you too. And thank you for creating such beautiful spaces. And yeah, for those of you who haven't been to this store, come. I'm going to stick around for the next little bit and discover all the gems that are here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we have a mission. We want to lift the vibration of the planet. We are lifting. We don't want to. We are lifting the vibration of the planet, one meditator at a time. And just amazing people come in the door. It's like Earl and I were here yesterday, and this man came in, and he was just like, oh my gosh, how did you find us? With gifts. He had some amazing gifts around business, because I'm not actually the best business guy.
You do pretty well, actually.
I'm
really in admiration of you.
I'm the vision guy, and somehow it all holds together loosely, and so I have put out to the universe that send me somebody who really is good at business, who also believes in the possibility of lifting the vibration of the planet. And this guy came yesterday, and it was really quite amazing. It's like, wow. We were both, Earl's behind the camera, you guys, and he just come and visit Earl. He's amazing. We'll get him out front one day. And Earl and I were just looking at each other, because this guy, it was like, are you kidding? It's the guy we had written down, So we'll see, and I have to let go of that, right? And not be in need anywhere. In all relationships, all relatings. Okay.
Thank you for having me on today.
Love you lots. And
yeah, you too.
Thanks you guys for watching. We love you.
Thank you.